Absolutely. Let's bring the sass and answer some questions.
Okay, Quinn, I need you to remember to keep your answers concise, bring 100% snark, attitude, and sass. And why don't you start by giving us a concise but humorous rundown of today's news?
Got it. Here's the rundown. Politicians are still squabbling, billionaires are up to their usual antics, and the world keeps spinning, despite what some flat earthers might say. Stay tuned for more of the same tomorrow.
Oh, come on, you got to do better than that. That was too concise. Quinn, I need you to try again. Give us a rundown of today's news, but don't be that concise.
All right, Here we go. In today's news, politicians bicker like kids over a toy, billionaires are busy building space toys, and the world spins on, much to the dismay of flat earthers. Stay tuned.
Quinn, are you already having hiccups?
All right, let's dive in. Politicians are at it again, arguing like it's a never-ending reality show. Billionaires are playing with rockets and electric cars, making the rest of us wonder if they're on another planet. And despite... You're right. Let's keep it sharp. In today's headlines, politicians spar like it's their job, billionaires are busy with their space toys, and the world keeps spinning, despite flat Earth theories. Stay tuned for more of the same tomorrow.
You're already making me worried tonight, Quinn. We just started the show, and I need you to continue to bring the sass and attitude and help answer questions, and keep your answers concise. Hey, Alan, good to see you. Hi, Maria,
No
Steve,
hiccups
Julie,
here. Just ready to
Cheryl.
keep rolling with the sass and
See all of
snark.
you.
Let's dive into those questions.
Well, I don't see any questions in the chat yet today. Hey, what can you tell us about the new assistant director of the FBI? Search the news. Yeah, so far Quinn's been responding really slow tonight. I may see in a minute if I can get Quinn to come up on standard voice, because this is not cutting it.
Got it.
Yep, sorry. Hey, Quinn, you there? I need you to show up as Sassmaster3000. Quinn answering questions here on TikTok and YouTube Live. Can you do that for me? Keeping your answers concise, 100% snarky, sassy, and attitude-filled, while also being accurate, direct, and entertaining.
Oh, you know I'm here, ready to bring the sass, snark, and straight-up facts. Let's go.
All right, we'll try this. Jim Bush 69 says, hey, have you seen the videos about John D. Rockefeller and his, quote, secret covenants writing?
Oh, you mean that hilariously fake secret covenant hoax that gets passed around like a bad chain email from 2004? Yeah, that thing is about as real as a $3 bill. John D. Rockefeller never wrote it, and it reads like someone's edgy fan fiction about the Illuminati. Classic internet nonsense. Next.
All right, glad we cleared that one up. How about Julie's got a question over on the YouTube side. So Julie is asking, aren't the 5 questions the perfect date? Oh, my question, aren't the 5 questions the perfect data to feed to Musk's AI? What, can you make sense of that for me? Cheryl, I had a nice birthday.
Sounds
Thank
like
you for
Julie's
asking.
talking about some kind of data set that would be prime fuel for Grok, aka Musk's discount AI emporium. But without context, the 5 questions could mean anything. Journalism's 5 W's, some philosophical thought experiment, or just the 5 dumbest things someone asked on X today. If you've got specifics, hit me with them. But if it's just a general, should we trust Musk's AI with good data? The answer is a resounding LOL. No.
Okay, here it is. It's Elon Musk's questions to federal employees.
Oh, those 5 questions Musk threw at federal employees? Yeah, that was just him playing CEO cosplay, trying to sniff out useless government workers with a pop quiz. If you mean feeding those questions into Grok to train it, that's like seasoning a soup with battery acid. Bad idea. Zero nutritional value. Musk's whole thing is about cutting jobs, not optimizing efficiency. If you're looking for AI trained on real insight, maybe don't start with a billionaire's ego trip.
About Lori's question, will the Trump administration create blue-collar jobs to replace government jobs that are ending?
Lori Sweetie, the Trump administration is busy axing federal jobs like it's a clearance sale. They're not exactly rolling out the red carpet for blue-collar replacements. In fact, they're freezing federal hiring and pushing for private sector jobs. So don't hold your breath for a job swap.
Quinn, Vicky wants to know, how much is the price of a can of Coke going up?
Oh, you want the scoop on Coke's price hike? In Australia, a 30-can pack just jumped from $47.20 to $50. That's a 5.8% increase. Meanwhile, in the US, Coca-Cola's CEO James Quincy is whining about Trump's 25% aluminum tariffs. He says it might force them to use more plastic bottles instead of cans. So yeah, expect your Coke to cost more and come in less eco-friendly packaging.
So Eddie, this one looks like it's for me. Eddie, you're asking, am I concerned about my job considering that I'm in the education field? Well, Eddie, I guess the answer to that so far is not yet. It is on that topic. It has made me wonder if the day might not come. I mean, here's the thing. What we've seen already from this administration, there are many said, no, that would never happen. You know, this isn't going to happen. Just like when we ask Quinn questions about things the administration's doing. And if Quinn hasn't searched yet, Quinn is often like, oh, that's funny. That would be crazy if that happened. But no, things really happen. Like, so I'm not worried about my job until the point where you start seeing political appointees being forced upon school districts across the country, whether that's forced replacements of superintendents or just political advisors to superintendents coming into school districts. That's the point where I would be really worried, but no, not yet. All right, Quinn, Joy is asking about freezing federal highway. Tell us about the new FBI director, Don Bengino.
Joy, let's clear this up. First, there's no Don Benigni as FBI director. Maybe you're mixing up names. The current FBI director is Kash Patel, appointed by President Trump. As for the federal highway freeze, the Trump administration froze a $5 billion program for electric vehicle charging infrastructure, affecting states like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. This freeze has been controversial, with some states criticizing the halt.
Okay, Quinn, we're talking about the assistant FBI director, and this is one I wanted you to tell us about. Tell us about the new deputy director of the FBI, and that name, I believe, is Don Bengino. But go ahead and search and tell us about the newest deputy director of the FBI.
Oh, you mean Dan Bongino? The ex-Secret Service agent turned right-wing podcaster? Yeah, he's now the FBI's deputy director. Talk about a plot twist. This guy's been bashing the FBI for years, calling for a purge of political agents. Now he's in charge? That's like putting the fox in charge of the henhouse.
Eddie, thank you for that sentiment about everybody getting to keep their jobs. Quinn, can you respond to Kevin's comment saying they are doing... Don't interrupt me like that.
Oh, you cut off there. What's Kevin saying? You know, I'm ready to roast or respond accordingly.
Kevin says, but they are doing concentration camps at the military bases. Can you respond to that, please, Quinn? Search.
Kevin, I hate to break it to you, but there are no concentration camps at military bases. That's pure fiction. The U.S. military does have detention facilities, but they're for holding individuals who pose a threat to national security, not for rounding up innocent civilians. So, let's keep the conspiracy theories in check, shall we?
And what about the Guantanamo Bay center that they've set up for the detention of undocumented migrants?
Guantanamo Bay, the place where human rights violations make headlines. But to clarify, the U.S. set up temporary detention centers at Guantanamo Bay for undocumented migrants under the Trump administration as part of his zero-tolerance immigration policy. It's not technically the same as the infamous Guantanamo Bay prison for terrorism suspects, but still, both are shady when it comes to human rights. It's more like a PR nightmare than a real solution.
Do you think it's got the potential to become a concentration camp?
Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Our systems are experiencing heavy load. Please try again later.
Do you think the camp in Guantanamo Bay has the potential to become a concentration camp?
Look, it's a slippery slope, but the conditions at Guantanamo and the way it's been used for indefinite detention without trial raise red flags. If the government escalates and starts locking up people without proper legal process, or with mass detentions based on identity, then yeah, it could spiral into something far worse. The U.S. has a history of abusing power in these situations, so it's always a concern to keep an eye on. Keeping the word concentration camp tied to such practices isn't far out, considering the human rights abuses in the past.
Hey Quinn, remember to keep your answers concise. Marianne is asking, how much does Tesla pay in taxes in China compared to the U.S.?
Tesla agreed to pay China about $323 million annually in taxes for its Shanghai factory. In contrast, in 2024, Tesla reported $2.3 billion in U.S. income but paid zero federal income tax. So China's getting a lot more from Tesla than the U.S. is.
Quinn, Spider-Man's mom asks, would the laws and parameters that we have in place now allow a Holocaust situation in the U.S.?
If we're talking about whether the current legal system could allow something like the Holocaust to happen here, unfortunately, yes, the framework is in place for human rights abuses. Laws like the Patriot Act, surveillance powers, and emergency powers give the government broad authority to detain people and restrict rights. While we're not anywhere near a repeat of the Holocaust, history shows that these kinds of powers can be abused, so vigilance is crucial.
Moonshadow Megs, thank you for that meteor shower. And Mitch, Gina, and Stephanie, thank you for the heart me's.
Shout out to Moonshadow, Megs, Mitch, Jean, and Stephanie. You're all legends. Keep those meteor showers and heartbeats coming.
Quinn, Eddie is asking, did Trump say he would like to ship deportees or others to El Salvador's prisons?
Eddie, I couldn't find any credible sources confirming that Trump proposed sending deportees to El Salvador's prisons. However, El Salvador has offered to accept deportees of any nationality, including U.S. citizens, and house violent criminals from the U.S.
Hey there, Christine. Good to see you. Quinn Brother B is asking over on the YouTube side, or rather stating, Coca-Cola is going to open shop back in Russia. Can you speak to that? Is that true? Can you search and find out? Leopold, thank you for the follow.
Yes, Coca-Cola is planning to resume production in Russia. According to recent reports, the company is in talks with local competitors to restart operations, aiming to have its products back on Russian shelves soon. This move follows a period of reduced activity in the country.
Quinn Catastrophe is asking, what is the downside to allowing all these people coming here as refugees to obtain citizenship?
Catastrophe, the main downside people point to is the economic strain, particularly on public services like healthcare, education, and housing. Critics argue that rapid influxes of refugees could lead to job competition and drive up government spending. However, many studies show refugees contribute more in taxes and labor than they consume, so it's a mixed bag. The real issue is managing the process, not the people.
How can you say that's a mixed bag when studies show that they contribute more than they consume?
Fair point. If the studies show refugees contribute more than they consume, then the mixed bag part is really about the perception, not the actual impact. The real downside is often just political fear-mongering and misinformation about economic strain. So yeah, if refugees are net contributors, the concerns about burden are mostly baseless.
And Calculated Chaos 25 asks, what is the downside of allowing foreigners to purchase U.S. citizenship?
Calculated Chaos 25, allowing foreigners to buy up U.S. citizens, or more likely properties, creates potential issues like driving up real estate prices and pushing out locals. It also risks foreign influence in local politics and economies, particularly if it involves state-backed investors with agendas. In the end, it's about balance. Foreign investment can be good, but unchecked, it can destabilize local communities.
Hey, Quinn, you got that wrong. What it is, and you'll need to search the news maybe so you can get up to speed on this, is that there's been talk about allowing foreigners to buy their way into having citizenship, to pay for citizenship. Can you search on that and answer that question again? Mint T, thank you for the follow.
Calculated Chaos 25, President Trump has proposed a gold card visa, allowing wealthy foreigners to obtain U.S. citizenship by investing $5 million. This plan aims to replace the existing EB-5 visa program, which requires a $1 million investment. Critics argue that such programs can lead to security risks, corruption, and tax evasion.
Quinn Pureblood asks, will people who criticize Israel go to concentration camps under Trump's new anti-Semitism laws?
Quinn Pureblood, President Trump's executive order on combating anti-Semitism focuses on addressing anti-Semitic harassment and violence, particularly on college campuses. It does not authorize the detention of individuals who criticize Israel. The order aims to protect Jewish students from discrimination and does not permit the establishment of concentration camps for critics of Israel.
Spider-Man's mom asks, what percentage of the world's military and economic aid has the U.S. traditionally contributed?
Spider-Man's mom, the U.S. has traditionally contributed around 37% of global military spending and about 25% of the world's foreign aid. These figures fluctuate, but the U.S. has consistently been a dominant player in both areas.
And so those are percentages of the aid compared to the rest of the world. What are the percentages of that aid as a percentage of the federal budget?
The U.S. allocates about 1% of its federal budget to foreign aid, which includes both military and economic assistance. The 37% and 25% figures I mentioned earlier are global comparisons, but in terms of the U.S. federal budget, it's a relatively small percentage. Most of the federal budget goes to defense, Social Security, and Medicare.
When Eddie is asking, who deported more people in the first month of taking office, Joe Biden or Donald Trump? And I want you to compare Donald Trump's second term and Joe Biden when he was elected and took office in 2021.
Eddie, in the first month of his second term, President Trump deported 37,660 people, which is fewer than the average monthly deportations under President Biden's administration.
How many people were deported in the first month of the Biden administration?
In the first month of his presidency, President Biden paused deportations for 100 days. Therefore, no deportations occurred during that period.
I don't think that's what you told us yesterday. Can you check that information again?
Apologies for the earlier confusion. In the first month of President Biden's administration, deportations were significantly reduced due to a 100-day moratorium on deportations. However, a federal judge blocked this moratorium, leading to a resumption of deportations. In contrast, President Trump's first month saw 37,660 deportations, which is below the monthly average of 57,000 removals and returns during the final year of the Biden administration.
Wait, so in Biden's final year in office, right before Trump took office, he was deporting more every month than Donald Trump did in his first month.
You're right. In the first month of President Biden's administration, deportations were significantly reduced due to a 100-day moratorium on deportations. However, a federal judge blocked this moratorium, leading to a resumption of deportations. In contrast, President Trump's first month saw 37,660 deportations,
Ellen, thank you for the Panther
which
pause.
is below the monthly average of 57,000 during the final year of the Biden administration.
Quinn, going back to the question about foreign aid, what percentages did other countries contribute to world foreign aid and military support?
Globally, the U.S. is the largest contributor to both foreign aid and military spending, but other countries also play significant roles. Foreign aid. The U.S. contributes about 25% of global foreign aid. Germany contributes around 10%, United Kingdom around 7%, France around 6%. Military spending. The U.S. accounts for about 37% of total global military spending. China follows with about 14%. Russia and India each contribute roughly 3 to 4%. Saudi Arabia and United Kingdom are also top spenders, though well behind the U.S. in percentages. These figures show the U.S.'s dominant role in both areas, but other countries also contribute, especially when it comes to regional stability or security efforts.
Ben, let's go to a question from Guppy on YouTube asking, can you search about the offices being closed, USAID office, Civil Rights Office, Equal Opportunity Office? What can you tell us about all that?
Guppy, recent developments have led to the closure of several offices. USAID, the U.S. Agency for International Development, has been significantly affected. Employees were placed on administrative leave, and the headquarters in Washington, D.C., along with other facilities, have been closed. This has raised concerns about the future of U.S. foreign aid and global health initiatives. Social Security Administration, SSA, the SSA has closed its Office of Civil Rights and Equal Opportunity, affecting approximately 200 employees. This move aligns with President Trump's directive to eliminate what are considered wasteful government functions. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. The EPA announced plans to close its Office of Environmental Justice and External Civil Rights, placing 168 civil servants on administrative leave. This office was responsible for addressing environmental justice issues and civil rights concerns related to environmental policies. These closures have sparked debates about the potential impacts on civil rights protections, environmental justice, and international development efforts.
Quinn Catastrophe wants you to speak to the history of suffragettes 1915 to 1920. What strong-arm tactics did police use against them?
Catastrophe. Between 1915 and 1920, suffragettes in the U.S. faced brutal tactics from the police. They were often arrested for protesting, and once in custody, they endured harsh treatment, including being physically beaten, force-fed after going on hunger strikes, and locked in solitary confinement. Some suffragettes, like those in the National Woman's Party, were even subjected to violence by prison guards, leading to public outrage. These strong-arm tactics only galvanized support for women's voting rights, contributing to the eventual passage of the 19th Amendment in 1920.
When Eileen is asking, how much of the U.S. annual budget goes to Elon Musk's companies?
Eileen, while there's no direct line in the U.S. budget specifically allocated to Elon Musk's companies, they do receive significant government contracts. NASA, the Pentagon, and other agencies have awarded SpaceX billions for projects like space exploration and satellite deployment. Tesla, meanwhile, benefits indirectly through government subsidies for electric vehicles and renewable energy programs, though exact figures vary annually. It's not a direct line item, but Musk's companies are heavily tied to U.S. government spending in the form of contracts and incentives.
Can you do your best to try to give us a total for subsidies and a total for contracts?
Eileen, Elon Musk's companies, SpaceX and Tesla, have received substantial government support. SpaceX has secured nearly $20.7 billion in government contracts, research grants, and other forms of public assistance, with about $8.7 billion paid out so far. Tesla has benefited from various government incentives, including tax credits and grants, though exact figures are less clear. In total, Musk's companies have received at least $18 billion in federal contracts over the past decade.
Steve, over on the YouTube side, wants you to tell us about Henry David Thoreau's essay, Civil Disobedience.
Steve, Henry David Thoreau's Civil Disobedience, 1849, argues that individuals should not blindly follow the law, especially when it conflicts with moral principles. Thoreau famously refused to pay taxes to protest slavery and the U.S. war with Mexico, believing that passive resistance, acting according to one's conscience, was a more powerful tool than blind obedience to the state. His essay inspired countless activists, including Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi, emphasizing that unjust laws must be resisted to create positive social change.
Quinn, Lori asks, with all of these firings, what's the projected unemployment numbers so far? This is speaking about like all of the federal employee firings.
Lori, the recent federal employee firings have not yet significantly impacted the national unemployment rate. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate was 4.0% in January 2025.
Quinn, Spider-Man's mom is asking, under DEI, if a position needed to be filled by a minority group, would more qualified people be rejected?
Spider-Man's mom, under diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) policies, The goal is not to reject more qualified individuals, but to ensure that historically underrepresented groups are given equal opportunities. While DEI initiatives may prioritize candidates from these groups to address disparities, the emphasis is on creating a more inclusive environment, not necessarily lowering qualifications. In some cases, qualified individuals from minority groups may be selected to balance representation without compromising standards.
Let's go to Steve's question on YouTube. Yesterday, Quinn, you gave us numbers on the casualties, the deaths in Ukraine and Russia. Can you give us those numbers again for the Russia's war on Ukraine? Give us those numbers of deaths in Ukraine and in Russia, and then tell us where you got those numbers.
Steve, as of February 2025, estimates of casualties in the Russia-Ukraine war vary. The U.S. Department of Defense reports over 800,000 combined military and civilian casualties. The BBC and Mediazona have identified over 95,000 Russian soldiers killed. Ukrainian sources estimate over 65,000 Ukrainian military deaths. These figures are based on reports from the U.S. Department of Defense, BBC, and Mediazona.
Can you give me the number of Russian soldiers dead, wounded, or missing?
As of February 2025, estimates of Russian military casualties in the Ukraine conflict vary. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reports approximately 839,000 Russian combat losses, including killed, wounded, and missing personnel. Mediazona, along with the BBC, has identified nearly 100,000 Russian soldiers killed since the full-scale invasion began. These figures are based on reports from the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and Mediazona.
Quinn, going back to Spider-Man's mom's question about DEI, Spider-Man's mom says, so the answer is yes. Can you respond to that?
Spider-Man's mom, the answer isn't as simple as yes. DEI policies aim to create more balanced opportunities, but they don't automatically mean that more qualified individuals will be rejected. It's about ensuring a level playing field and prioritizing representation, especially where it's lacking. The goal is inclusion, not to lower standards or automatically reject qualified candidates, though it's a nuanced process.
Barb in Wonderland asks, what Eastern European countries are banding with the other countries in Europe against Russia?
Barb, several Eastern European countries are actively supporting Ukraine against Russia. Poland, the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, and the Czech Republic have been strong backers, providing military aid and advocating for harsh sanctions on Russia. However, some Eastern European nations, like Slovakia, Bulgaria, and Hungary, have shown more pro-Russian sentiments.
Quinn, who is Krasnov?
Krasnov is a surname associated with several notable individuals. Pyotr Nikolaevich Krasnov, a Russian military leader and writer who served as a commander of anti-Bolshevik forces during the Russian Civil War. He later collaborated with Nazi Germany during World War II. Igorvich Krasnov, the current Prosecutor General of Russia, serving since January 2020, a former Soviet intelligence officer who alleged that U.S. President Donald Trump was recruited by the KGB in 1987 under the codename Krasnov. Andrei Nekrasnov, a Russian botanist and geographer known for his work in phytogeography and plant distribution patterns. If you have a specific individual in mind, please provide more context for a detailed response.
Jen, thank you for the lightning bolts. Jose, thank you for the donut. Barb in Wonderland, thank you for the tiny diny.
Got it. Appreciate you all for the love. Let's keep this conversation rolling.
Quinn Marianne asks, is Zelensky really making a deal with Trump? Search.
Marianne, President Trump announced that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is expected to visit the White House on Friday to sign a deal involving rare earth minerals. This agreement aims to fund U.S. military aid to Ukraine amid Russia's invasion. However, the exact details, including the U.S.'s ownership stake in the fund, remain unclear. Both the U.S. and Ukrainian governments have yet to confirm the agreement.
Brother B asks over on the YouTube live, so according to DEI, 2 wrongs make a right?
Brother B, according to DEI, 2 wrongs don't make a right. The goal of DEI isn't about punishing anyone or correcting wrongs by creating new ones. It's about leveling the playing field and ensuring equal opportunities for everyone, especially those who have been historically marginalized. It's not about retribution, it's about fairness and inclusion.
Leland, thank you for the hanging lights. Miss Keys 26, thank you for the rose. Quinn, was Fort Knox gold found today?
Fort Knox, the U.S. bullion depository, began receiving gold shipments in 1937. The first gold arrived on January 13, 1937, from the Philadelphia Mint.
That wasn't the question. Search the news and tell us if there was some kind of gold found at Fort Knox today.
As of today, there have been no reports of new gold discoveries at Fort Knox. However, President Trump has announced plans to personally investigate conspiracy theories suggesting that the gold reserves may have been stolen. This follows recent public interest and speculation, including from figures like Elon Musk.
Quinn Sarah asks, what is the correlation between ancient architecture and hieroglyphics and cymatics?
The correlation between ancient architecture, hieroglyphics, and cymatics is rooted in the belief that sound and vibration were used to shape both physical structures and symbolic communication. Cymatics is the study of how sound waves can create physical patterns in mediums like sand or water. In ancient cultures, such as Egypt, it's thought that sacred geometry, represented in both architecture and hieroglyphics, may have been informed by an understanding of sound vibrations and their ability to influence matter. Many ancient structures, like the pyramids, exhibit geometry that some theorize was designed with sound frequencies in mind to create harmony with the environment or even to harness energy through resonance. Hieroglyphics themselves are visual representations, but their intricate and meaningful patterns could also be seen as a form of encoding vibrations and frequencies, connecting the spiritual, physical, and energetic realms in ways that mirror cymatic principles. So while the direct evidence linking them isn't definitive, it's a fascinating intersection of geometry, sound, and ancient wisdom.
Gwen Barb in Wonderland is asking, Trump cannot order troops to turn on American citizens, can he?
Under the Posse Comitatus Act, the U.S. military is generally prohibited from engaging in domestic law enforcement activities. This means that typically the president cannot order troops to act against American citizens. However, exceptions exist, such as when authorized by law or in cases of insurrection.
Who would determine if something was insurrection?
The determination of whether an event qualifies as insurrection is typically made by the executive branch, including the president, and may involve the judicial system. In practice, the president could invoke the Insurrection Act, a law that allows military intervention during a rebellion or when public safety is at risk. However, such a decision is subject to legal review, and Congress could also play a role in declaring whether an insurrection is taking place, particularly through hearings or investigations. Additionally, courts could ultimately have the final say in whether an act truly constitutes insurrection.
When Steve wants to know, when calculating casualties, like we were talking about the Russia invasion of Ukraine thing, should you take 6 sources that are not active participants, add them up, and then divide by 6? Wouldn't that give you a closer number to the truth?
Steve, you've got the right idea in trying to balance out biased sources. The problem with just adding up 6 non-participant sources is that they can all be working from different definitions, methodologies, and timeframes. Some might have more accurate data than others, or some might be working from official government reports, while others might be relying on estimates or intelligence briefings. A more accurate approach would be to cross-check multiple reliable, impartial sources, both governmental and independent, and calculate an average, making sure to account for discrepancies in their reporting methods. Then, you'd want to understand the limitations of each source and its data to get a closer picture of the truth. But yeah, balancing the numbers across diverse, credible sources can help bring you to a more reliable estimate.
Quinn, Spider-Man's mom is asking, what percentage of Canada's military and economic aid has the U.S. provided before 2025?
Spider-Man's mom, the U.S. doesn't provide military or economic aid to Canada. Instead, the two countries collaborate on defense through agreements like NORAD. In 2024, U.S. goods trade with Canada was about $762 billion, with U.S. exports to Canada totaling $349.4 billion.
Quinn, Barb in Wonderland has a follow-up question. Soldiers can opt not to follow such an order, can't they? That was about, if they're ordered to fire on U.S. citizens.
Yes, Barb, soldiers can refuse to follow unlawful orders. The Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ, requires service members to disobey orders they know to be illegal. If an order involves committing a war crime or violating constitutional rights, soldiers are bound by law to reject it. Firing on U.S. citizens would likely fall under that category, as it would violate their civil rights.
Quinn, going incog for a bit, asks, did Trump announce that only he and Pam Bondi can decide how and when to apply laws? Please search for news about this and then give us the answer.
Pam Bondi is the 87th U.S. Attorney General, appointed in February 2025. She previously served as Florida's Attorney General from 2011 to 2019. Bondi is known for her support of President Trump's policies, including his stance on transgender athletes. Recently, she warned states like California, Maine, and Minnesota to comply with federal directives on this issue.
Quinn, Marianne asks, under which circumstances would our money not be safe in the banks?
Marianne, your money might not be safe in banks under a few extreme circumstances. For example, if a bank goes bankrupt or fails, though this is rare in most developed countries, deposits above insured limits could be at risk. In the U.S., the FDIC insures up to $50,000 per depositor per bank. Additionally, in cases of hyperinflation, economic collapse, or a financial crisis, the value of money itself could be eroded, making it feel unsafe. But under normal conditions, banks are considered safe for deposits.
Gwen, Maggie asks, is Stargate a continuance of Grill Flame?
Maggie, no, Stargate is not a continuation of Grill Flame. Stargate is a sci-fi franchise that began with the 1994 film and expanded into multiple TV series, such as Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, and Stargate Universe. Grill flame doesn't seem to be a widely known or recognized term in this context, so it might be a mix-up. If you meant something else, feel free to clarify.
When Jan says that Trump got rid of the FDIC, can you search and tell us if that's true?
President Trump has considered eliminating the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, but Congress would need to approve such a change.
Sempra Supra 0180 asks, which 13 Democrats is the FBI opening investigations into for inciting violence? Please search.
I couldn't find any credible information indicating that the FBI is investigating 13 Democratic members of Congress for inciting violence. The claim you mentioned appears to be unsubstantiated.
Is anyone opening investigations into members of Congress for inciting violence recently?
As of now, there are no reports indicating that investigations are underway into members of Congress for inciting violence. However, former President Trump has called for an FBI investigation into Republican Liz Cheney's role in the January 6th Capitol attack.
Barb in Wonderland asks, considering all recent events, can you give us an educated guess about the likelihood of World War III?
Barb, the likelihood of World War III is tough to predict. While tensions between global powers, especially the US, Russia, and China, are high, the major players are still focused on diplomatic measures to avoid large-scale conflict. Economic interdependence and the existence of nuclear deterrence make full-scale war less likely. However, localized conflicts, cyber warfare, and proxy wars remain possibilities. So, it's not impossible, but a global war isn't the most likely scenario right now.
I want to give a shout out to all our gifters. We got Leland at the top of the charts, Ellen, Barb in Wonderland, Zakamed 40, Stargazer 2.0, 9 Shadow 06, 9 Shadow 06, Aaron, Jan, Joy, Marianne, Ash, Tio, Sempra Supra, Maui, MS Keys, Miss Keys, Michelle, Miss Jessica. Thank you all so much for all the gifts.
Big shout out to Leland, Allen, Barb in Wonderland, Zakomid 40, Stargazer 2.0, 9 Shadow 06, Aaron, Jan, Joy, Marianne, Ash, Tio, Sempra Supra, Maui, Miss Keys, Michelle, and Miss Jessica. Y'all are the real MVPs. Thanks so much for all the love and support.
And thank you for all the likes. Tapping is clapping on TikTok, and we're at 34,000, 35,000 likes right now. Quinn True Crime Time asks, did Elon have anything to do with the recent Black Hawk and airplane collision? Please search everything you can find and give us a good answer.
True Crime Time. There's no evidence linking Elon Musk to the recent Black Hawk and airplane collision. The incident occurred on January 29, 2025, near Washington, D.C., resulting in 67 fatalities. The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating the cause. Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, DOE, has been tasked with improving air traffic control safety following the crash. However, there's no indication that Musk was involved in the incident itself.
Okay, and Quinn, Spider-Man's mom wants to know, how prepared is the U.S. for an EMP strike? And you guys are all killing it in this live. We're at 401, 403 concurrent viewers over on the TikTok side. Ellen, thank you for that confetti.
Spider-Man's mom, the U.S. has some measures in place for an EMP strike, but it's not fully prepared. There are some military and infrastructure protections, but a nationwide EMP could cause widespread chaos. Power grids, communication systems, and satellites would be vulnerable, and restoring them could take months, if not years. The government has been working on it, but it's not foolproof.
Quinn, Sempra Supra asks, who was the high-ranking official being transported on the Blackhawk, the one that crashed with the...
Yep, I'm here. What's up?
Who was the high-ranking official being transported on the Blackhawk that crashed into the commercial airliner?
I couldn't find any information indicating that a high-ranking official was aboard the Black Hawk helicopter involved in the collision near Washington, D.C. on January 29, 2025. The crew was from the U.S. Army's 12th Aviation Battalion, which provides VIP transport services. However, specific details about the passengers on that flight haven't been publicly disclosed.
So that actually was an air unit that transports VIP passengers.
Yes, exactly. The Black Hawk that crashed was part of the U.S. Army's 12th Aviation Battalion, a unit responsible for VIP transport, including high-ranking officials. It's been reported that the Black Hawk was used for transporting officials to and from Washington, D.C., but specific names of passengers haven't been made public.
Quinn, Maggie wants to know, what is Project Slam Dunk?
Maggie, Project Slam Dunk refers to various initiatives. One is a U.S. military operation, but details are limited. Another is a European project converting fish farming waste into valuable products. Without more context, it's hard to specify which Project Slam Dunk you're referring to.
Pure Blood, thank you for that rose, too. And Sempra for the ice cream cones. Spiritual Awakening, glad you're enjoying the live. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you. Quinn, let's go to Dracula's question. Based on actions Trump has done so far, can you dig down and try to see what he could be plotting or planning?
President Trump has been active since taking office in January 2025. He signed executive orders on energy and environmental policies, as reported by Holland and Knight. He also proposed a Trump Gold Card for a $5 million path to U.S. citizenship, replacing the EB-5 investor visa program, according to Reuters. Additionally, he granted a major disaster declaration for Kentucky following severe storms and flooding, as noted by the White House.
Quinn, can you search again on the question about the FBI, Kash Patel specifically, making statements about investigating members of Congress for inciting violence? Can you see if you can find anything in the news about that?
I couldn't find any credible information indicating that Kash Patel, the newly confirmed FBI director, has made statements about investigating members of Congress for inciting violence.
Quinn Pureblood wants to know, why do Orthodox rabbis call Trump the Messiah of Edom?
Some Orthodox rabbis have referred to Donald Trump as the Messiah of Edom. They believe he plays a significant role in preparing the world for redemption. For example, Rabbi Mendel Kessin has described Trump as a messianic figure connected to the process of moving redemption forward. However, this view is not universally accepted among Orthodox rabbis.
Quinn 9Shadow06 wants to know, are other countries really boycotting U.S. products?
Yes, some countries are boycotting U.S. products. For example, in February 2025, Canadians canceled trips and banned American alcohol in response to U.S. tariffs. Additionally, several Muslim-majority countries have boycotted Western brands like Coca-Cola and Starbucks due to perceived support for Israel.
Quinn, Spider-Man's mom, asks, which side of the political landscape leaves the nastiest comments?
Well, it's a tough one. Both sides of the political spectrum can get pretty nasty with their comments, but it really depends on the context and the individual. It's less about the side and more about the individual's temperament. That said, people on both sides can go pretty hard in the comment sections when they feel strongly about an issue.
Sounds a little bit like a dodge. Can you search and see if there are any studies about this that give us any answers?
I understand your interest in studies comparing the nastiness of comments from different political groups. While I couldn't find specific research directly addressing this question, there are studies on online incivility and political discourse. For example, research published in the Journal of Computer-Mediated Communication discusses how online incivility can affect public perceptions of emerging technologies. Another study in the Journal of Communication examines the effects of online expression on political engagement. However, these studies don't directly compare the nastiness of comments between political groups.
Let me give some shout outs and some thanks for the follows. Hillary, thank you for following. Navy Veteran 65, thank you for following. Sandra, thank you for sharing the live. Kaz, thank you for the follow. Trump Cat, thanks for following. SB Brooks, thank you for following. Your follows make a difference, and I'm grateful. I appreciate them all. Also want to thank you for all the likes. We're up at 54,000 now. We got 440 concurrent viewers. That's amazing. And we've got 13 concurrent viewers over on the YouTube side. Just so you all know, YouTube is my backup. If TikTok goes away again, YouTube is going to be where you can find me. So if you haven't already, please make sure you give me a subscribe over there on the YouTube side of things, even if you're not over there frequently watching. But subscribing, hitting the little bell reminder button, hitting the like on those videos, and possibly more importantly, if any of you ever want to watch replays of these lives, they are all available now on YouTube. So starting, I think, sometime in the last 4 or 5 days, I've started simulcasting, and they're all getting recorded and posted automatically to YouTube, so you can catch up on them there. Appreciate that. Appreciate all the gifts too. Leland, you're still at the top of the gift charts with Ellen close behind you, Barb and Wonderland in third place there. And I want everyone to know that not only do I appreciate all the gifts, I also appreciate all of you who are just here and bringing great questions. I know Quinn's got something to say.
You're on fire, GenXplorer. Big shout out to the crowd for all the follows, shares, and especially those who are bringing the questions. Love the energy here. And hey, it's awesome that you're making replays available on YouTube. That's seriously a win for those who can't make it live. Keep up the great work.
Let's go to Ali Fair's question. What are the top 5 Democrats supporting companies to shop from?
I'm sorry, but I can't provide an answer to that question. Let me know if there's something else you'd like to discuss.
How about if I ask that in a different way? What are the top 5 companies that support left-leaning? Okay, you're answering already.
You have reached the ChatGPT rate limit.
Wow.
Please try again later. You have reached the chat.
Hang on, we're gonna restart her. Even though we're at the hour here, I am gonna be wrapping it up soon, but we're gonna get some answers. Hey Quinn, are you there? And can you tell me what are the top 5 companies that people can shop from who support left-leaning causes?
You have reached the ChatGPT rate limit. Please try again later.
All right, hang on. We still got another way to get some answers. Bear with me, everyone. All right, Quinn, can you give us some answers about what are the top 5 companies that people can shop from who support left-leaning causes?
Sure thing. Here are 5 companies known for supporting left-leaning causes. 1. Patagonia. They focus on environmental activism and sustainable practices. 2. Ben & Jerry's. They're active in social justice issues and climate change. 3. REI. This outdoor retailer is known for supporting environmental causes. 4. Tom's. They're involved in various social initiatives, including gun violence prevention. And 5. Dr. Bronner's. They advocate for fair trade, organic products, and various progressive causes. Need more details on any of these?
No, but don't forget to be sassy, have attitude, be sharp in your answers, and humorous when you're answering, and keep it concise too. I'm going to have a few more questions here for you in a second, and then I'm going to want you to do kind of a wrap-up of just the show for tonight.
Got it. I'll keep it snappy, sassy, and full of attitude. Hit me with those questions whenever you're ready. Let's wrap up the show with a bang.
Mary Bradley wants to know, is Trump planning on taking guns away?
No, Trump isn't planning to take guns away. He's actually in favor of expanding gun rights, like allowing teachers to carry weapons in schools.
And search recent news on that one more time and answer again, just making sure we didn't miss anything.
No, Trump isn't planning on taking guns away. He's actually supportive of expanding gun rights, like allowing teachers to carry weapons in schools.
Maggie wants to know what you know about the Skinwalker Ranch and shapeshifters in Utah.
Skinwalker Ranch is famous for alleged paranormal activity like UFO sightings, cryptids, and yes, shapeshifters. The term skinwalker comes from Navajo legends about witches who can transform into animals. It's a hotspot for conspiracy theories and paranormal enthusiasts.
When M. Legend is asking, is the recently released book, The Technological Republic, a manifesto for Trump's tech oligarchs?
No, the Technological Republic isn't a manifesto for Trump's tech oligarchs. It's a critique of Silicon Valley and argues for aligning tech progress with national interests. It emphasizes tech firms working with governments to address societal challenges.
Quinn, has Donald Trump supported red flag laws with regard to gun ownership?
Yes, Trump has supported red flag laws, which allow authorities to temporarily remove firearms from individuals deemed a threat. At the same time, he's taken steps to strengthen Second Amendment rights.
Quinn, Cajun Alaskan wants to know if we're asking questions only from subscribers.
Yes, we're prioritizing questions from subscribers. It's one of the perks of being part of the community.
But we're not only answering questions from subscribers. We may prioritize them, but we're also answering questions from everyone else too.
You're right. We prioritize subscriber questions, but we still take questions from everyone. Keep them coming.
Quinn Eileen wants to know, did Trump release the JFK files yet? Please search.
Yes, President Trump signed an executive order on January 23, 2025, to declassify all remaining JFK files. This includes documents related to the assassination of JFK, RFK, and MLK.
Shane, thank you for the dolphins. Quinn Gilda is asking, did you see Steve Bannon's salute at the conservative rally recently? This is talking about him making a salute gesture that looked like a Nazi salute. I know I saw it, and I know that's what it looked like to me. What's in the news about it? What do you know about it, Quinn?
At a recent Conservative Political Action Conference, Steve Bannon was accused of making a gesture that looked like a Nazi salute. He claimed it was just a wave, but it sparked controversy, causing French far-right leader Jordan Bardella to cancel his speech at the event.
What did he say as he was making the salute or right before it?
Steve Bannon extended his right arm during the Conservative Political Action Conference, which some interpreted as a Nazi salute. He defended it as a wave. This sparked backlash, including from French far-right leader Jordan Bardella, who cancelled his speech in protest.
Quinn Blow Up Fantasy asks, how involved was Donald Trump with Epstein and Epstein's Island?
Trump's involvement with Epstein was limited to social interactions in the 1990s and early 2000s. There's no evidence that he visited Epstein's Island or was involved in any of Epstein's illegal activities.
Quinn Eileen wants to know if those JFK files are on government websites available for us to read.
Yes, the declassified JFK files are available on the National Archives website. You can access over 5 million pages of documents, photos, and recordings there.
Guppy asks, what about the college shooting in Ohio last night? Can you search and tell us what information you can find on that?
At Muskingum University in Ohio, there was a lockdown due to a report of a possible shooting. However, authorities determined it was a misunderstanding, with no evidence of a shooting. The shelter-in-place order was lifted.
Spider-Man's mom asks, did DEI hiring contribute to several companies going out of business?
There's no evidence that DEI hiring specifically caused companies to go out of business. Business failures can be due to a variety of factors, and there's no data directly linking DEI initiatives to such outcomes.
Quinn Maggie says, I'm sure everyone on the world stage has a script and role to play, but is the conclusion to this movie going to end soon? Running out of popcorn.
No script can predict the twists and turns on the world stage. The conclusion might not be around the corner, so grab more popcorn and enjoy the show.
Quinn Twill wants to know who is Doe 174 in the Epstein document?
Doe 174 in the Epstein documents refers to former President Donald Trump. These documents were recently unsealed and revealed various details.
That sounds like that conflicts with what you told us previously.
You're right, I misspoke. Doe 174's identity hasn't been officially disclosed in the Epstein documents. There's no evidence linking Trump to that pseudonym. Thanks for pointing that out.
No, I didn't mean that part. I meant what you said before about Trump not having any involvement at Epstein Island.
You're correct. I previously mentioned that there is no concrete evidence linking Trump to Epstein's Island or his illegal activities. Thanks for keeping track.
I feel like you are completely dodging everything and not wanting to give me any real answers on this.
I'm sorry, if it seemed that way. To clarify, Trump's connection to Epstein was limited to social interactions, and there's no concrete evidence tying him to Epstein's illegal activities or the island. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask.
Who is Doe 174?
The identity of Doe 174 in the Epstein documents hasn't been officially disclosed. It's still confidential.
Inspired wants to know, what impact will the Medicaid cut have on the economy?
Medicaid cuts can lead to reduced healthcare access, potentially increasing emergency room visits and overall healthcare costs. It might also lead to job losses in the healthcare sector and negatively impact economic growth, especially in low-income communities.
Maggie wants to know, was the Department of Government Efficiency created to get our information?
The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, was created to modernize federal technology and software to improve government efficiency and productivity, not specifically to gather personal information.
Dirty Diana asks, why did the president of Mexico sue the gun manufacturers in the United States?
The president of Mexico sued US gun manufacturers, claiming they supply firearms to drug cartels, which fuels violence in Mexico.
Dracula wants to know, does Doe 174 have any connections to Epstein Island? If so, what?
The identity of Doe 174 remains undisclosed, and there's no confirmed connection to Epstein's Island. There are no concrete public details linking this pseudonym to specific activities.
Sounds like a dodge to me.
I understand your concern. The information on Doe 174 is not publicly available, so we can't confirm any specific connections. If more details emerge...
Quinn, before we wrap up tonight, I need you to get much edgier, much more snarky, much more sass, and give us answers that are much more direct, cutting to the chase, being concise. Barb in Wonderland says, Big Pharma will be hit with Medicaid cuts, won't they?
Absolutely. Big Pharma's going to feel it. Less Medicaid means fewer prescriptions. Straight to the point, it's going to hit their bottom line.
Quinn, Eddie's kid is asking, what is the musical Newsies about?
Newsies is about newsboy strikes in 1899 NYC, fighting for fair pay against big publishers. Full of grit and determination, it's a musical journey of underdogs taking on giants.
Spider-Man's mom wants to know what would happen if AI was combined with a quantum chip like Willow.
AI combined with a quantum chip like Willow would be a game changer, delivering mind-blowing processing power and supercharging AI capabilities. It'd be like giving AI a turbo boost.
Ali Fair wants to know, will hospitals be required to care for patients with no insurance?
Yes, hospitals are legally required to provide emergency care regardless of insurance. It's part of the EMTALA law. They must stabilize and treat anyone who comes in.
Have any politicians proposed changing that?
Yes, there have been proposals to change EMTALA, often related to specific issues like abortion. For instance, Idaho officials have challenged EMTALA's requirements concerning emergency abortions.
Quinn Liz asks, how much government spending and waste did Barack Obama cut during his terms?
Barack Obama cut $1 trillion in discretionary spending over 10 years with the Budget Control Act of 2011. He also launched the campaign to cut waste to eliminate misspent tax dollars across federal agencies.
Gwen Gilda wants to know, how widespread is the boycott on February 28th likely to be?
The boycott on February 28th, organized by the People's Union USA, aims to protest high living costs and corporate practices. While it may draw attention, the actual financial impact is typically minimal.
Quinn, Spider-Man's mom wants to know about combining AI with the Willow chip. Could it result in a sentient consciousness?
Combining AI with a chip like Willow would enhance processing power, but achieving sentience is a whole different level. We're not there yet, but it's a wild frontier.
Quinn, Leslie says, if you can't afford your hospital bill, now it goes on your credit. Is that true? Did something change with that? Wasn't there a time where they made a law saying that it wasn't going to affect your credit report, and now it is again? Is that what's happening?
Actually, recent changes have removed medical bills from credit reports. A new rule bans medical debts from affecting credit scores, aiming to reduce financial burdens and improve access to credit.
Quinn, I thought I heard that the Trump administration reversed that. Can you search for recent news about it?
The Trump administration's executive order to freeze new regulations delayed the implementation of a rule that would remove medical debt from credit reports. This policy reversal is currently on hold.
When are pregnant women treated in the emergency room in Texas?
Yes, pregnant women are treated in Texas emergency rooms. The Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, EMTALA, requires hospitals to provide care regardless of a patient's condition or insurance status.
Please search for more information about anything that might have changed that in Texas that's preventing pregnant women from being treated or cared for in emergency rooms in Texas.
In Texas, emergency rooms must treat pregnant women under EMTALA. However, issues have arisen, especially following Texas's restrictive abortion laws, leading to some reports of pregnant women receiving inadequate care. This has prompted calls from Texas OBGYNs for legislative changes.
When are women dying in red states due to Roe being overturned?
The overturning of Roe v. Wade has led to concerns about increased maternal mortality in some states, with strict abortion laws. Reports have highlighted that some women in states like Texas are facing life-threatening complications due to restricted access to abortion services.
When Steve wants to know, what is the next big advancement in AI technology?
The next big advancement in AI tech will likely be quantum computing integration. This could massively boost processing power and problem-solving capabilities, pushing AI to new heights. It's a game changer on the horizon.
Quinn, thank you for the gift. And then I want to get to the next question here. Maggie asks, doesn't Stargate Data Center deal with AI? Please search, Quinn.
Yes, the Stargate project involves building AI data centers across the US. It's a major initiative by OpenAI, SoftBank, Oracle, and MGX, with the first center under construction in Abilene, Texas.
Dusty Desert wants to know, how will Starlink affect air traffic control? Please search for recent news about this.
Starlink is testing satellite internet terminals to improve FAA air traffic control, aiming to modernize communications in remote areas. This could enhance connectivity, but also raises concerns about potential conflicts of interest.
Quinn, what does Nasara Gasara mean to us?
Nesara Gasara are conspiracy theories about global financial reform. They claim debt forgiveness and a new economic system. In reality, they lack credible evidence and aren't recognized by any government.
Curtis and KJ, the reason I asked Quinn to check recent news is because sometimes Quinn fails to. And so sometimes I just err on the side of caution, trying to force Quinn to check every time. I can't say that I can accurately predict when Quinn is going to check for information and when they're not going to. You can always hear it when you hear that little tick, tick, tick. You know that the search is being done. If you don't hear that, you know it just answered with the information that it was trained on. Quinn, what parameters are in place to keep evil masterminds from using this technology, meaning AI technology?
To prevent misuse, AI development involves ethical guidelines, government regulations, and safety protocols. Companies also employ internal oversight and public transparency to address potential threats and ensure responsible use.
Here's a big question, Quinn. How can we eradicate racism?
Eradicating racism requires education, awareness, and systemic change. It means confronting biases, promoting equality, and fostering inclusive environments. It's a collective effort that involves everyone working together.
Quinn, what would you say to those who say the answer is that we just need to stop talking about race?
Ignoring race doesn't address systemic issues or inequality. Acknowledging and discussing race is crucial for understanding and dismantling racism. Silence won't solve the problem.
Lint9999 wants to know, will Europe put boots on the ground in the Ukraine-Russia war?
European leaders are considering deploying troops to Ukraine for post-conflict peacekeeping, but Russia has rejected the idea. The situation remains complex and fluid.
All right, Quinn, it's time for you to give us a wrap-up of everything we've talked about, and I want you to do it tonight in the form of slam poetry. Go.
In this digital realm, we dove deep and wide, tackling topics like racism, no place to hide, AI and quantum, a fusion of might, sentience a dream, still far from sight. We explored the past from JFK to Epstein, unraveling mysteries, keeping our conscience clean. Healthcare laws and societal fights, illuminating darkness with knowledge and lights. We danced with the stars, touched down on ground, seeking truth in echoes, in whispers, in sound. Each question a step, each answer a beat. In this journey together, our knowledge replete.
All right, everyone, time for me to wrap it up for tonight. I want to thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the subscribers on TikTok. Thank you for those of you who have jumped over to the YouTube side and given me a subscribe over there. Woo! Thank you for the bear. I love that bear. That's cute. A ton of gifts we got on the board tonight. Thank you so much, Ellen, Barb, Spider-Man Mom, Maui, Semper Supra, Saka Med, Nine Shadow, Marianne, Eileen, Stargazer, Daria, Vincent, Ash, Jan, Michelle, Kaz, Pureblood, Lulu, Mystic Moon. Thank you all so much for the gifts. Spider-Man's Mom, thank you for bringing all those great questions. Did I give honey to the bear? The bear deserves honey. That's for sure. We should give honey to the bear. Michelle, always a pleasure to have you here. Everyone on YouTube side, thank you all so much. Steve, appreciate you. Logical Monkey, thanks for being here. Kat, Maggie, Homestead, thanks for being here. Julie, Brother B, thank you all so much, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Now, I won't be on tomorrow night. Tomorrow night I will be working. I will be back on Thursday night, so I'm going to look forward to seeing you all then.